In today's video, we're going to do something that we never ever done before. It is going to be a story time. Roll the intro. Now, as you can tell by the title of this video, my therapist broke up with me. But in all honesty, I want to use this video to talk about something very, very important that not many people talk about, and that is going to therapy. So, about 10 years ago, when I was 13 years old, I started going to therapists. I was going through a rough time in school, and I can make a whole different video about that. Fast forward, like, 8 years. When I was 21 years old, I started going to another therapist. Let's call her Janice. Janice and I were great. We had worked together for like 2 years. It was awesome. But then Janice, she moved out of state. But my insurance did not accept the fact that I was going to a therapist who was outside the state of Massachusetts. So I had to find a new therapist, Kelly. Now, Kelly, the therapist, well, she was great too. She was awesome. We talked about anxiety, my excessive need for external validation. We talked about it all. But then she broke up with me. Wes, why did Kelly break up with you? One day, I walk into Kelly's office and we're doing a normal session like always. And we're going into our normal cadence of, she asks me how I'm doing. I say, I'm doing good. How are you doing? And then we get into the topic of whatever that therapist session was about. But then at the very end, I noticed that Kelly normally looks a little bit different, and I'm kind of like, what's going on? Why are you not closing the meeting in the session like you always do? But then she goes, Wes, I need to tell you something. Unfortunately, I'll be closing down my practice starting next month, and I just wanted to give you a heads up because just in case you want to continue with seeing a different therapist, maybe I can refer you to someone inside my practice. Felt like we just started. Is it me? Do you want me to change my meeting times? I mean, we could change from being on Monday, then being on Tuesday. Is it my insurance? I mean, I could try to pay out of pocket, but don't leave. But Kelly assured me that it was nothing out of my control. We're sitting there, and she goes, do you want to continue therapy? I hadn't really imagined a life outside of therapy. And to be honest, I'll tell you the story right now, I still don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about therapy really coming to an end, but I have an idea. Since my therapy journey has come to an end, I figured I'd give you some tips about how to find a therapist if you yourself are considering therapy. Tip 1. Google is your best friend. Simply go now. Go to Google and type in, how do I find a therapist? It's really that simple. You're going to be met with a bunch of sites. The best site I can recommend to you, Psychology Today. PsychologyToday.com is not the sponsor of today's video, but they did help me find a therapist. I was able to section off what exactly I was looking for. A male, a female, someone who specializes in anxiety. I was also able to pinpoint how far did I want to actually travel to see my therapist. Tip number 2, don't expect a cure. Therapy is a process. It's an ongoing process that helps you understand why you feel the way you feel and what steps you can take to coexist with that uncomfortable feeling. Healing is a process. We should stop being all caught up in, I'm gonna go to one therapy session and find the cure for my anxiety. It's not how it works. So I recommend going into therapy with the understanding that this is going to be a process and not really a destination. The more we can rewire our brain from trying to think that I'm going to find a cure to I'm going to go down this process, that I'm going to go down this journey. Well, therapy can work wonders. Tip number 3, therapy only works if you do. And by doing the work, I mean trying to take the principles and the tactics you learn in therapy and applying it into your real life every single day. But it's a process that works if only you agree to do the work. Tip number 4. See therapy like you're going on a date. Finding a therapist is a lot like dating. The first one, your first date, it might not go okay. It might be awkward. It might be strange. But doesn't mean that therapy doesn't work for you. You can go find another therapist. In fact, you can really stop therapy anytime you want. It's a revolving door. I remember for me, my first therapist, she was terrible. She didn't get me. But that's a story for a different time. Give therapy a chance. You will find your Prince Charming. You will find your Cinderella. You can find your person. And last but not least, tip number 5. See therapy like a revolving door. Because although Kelly broke up with me and we're going our separate ways, it doesn't mean that my relationship with therapy as a whole, or even Kelly as a whole, is over. For all I know, in 5 months down the road, when Kelly is probably back into her practice, we can start therapy again. And just like you, if you're thinking about going to a therapist, just because maybe you want to stop this week, or stop this month, or stop this year, you can always return back to therapy. I always think about this scene from Elf. Yeah, that's how I see therapy. That revolving door is always open for you. So if you enjoyed these videos, I really love talking about it with you, because now I don't really have someone to talk about it with, and I'm going to be upping the videos, posting more frequently starting next week. So if you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, because we are going to be back next week with more videos. I'm going to be showing you the ins and outs of the biggest thing that gives me anxiety. Peace!